had a couple cups of coffee. So yeah, I'm ready to go.
Same.
I stayed away from coffee. I have water just to make sure I'm not too jumpy for this. Sorry. Yes, go ahead, Jake.
No, the same. Feeling good. Ready to talk a little AI, ChatGPT, all things future of sales.
Jake, what's in your water bottle? Are you rocking water? You doing coffee? You doing matcha?
Yeah, I've got water. I'm actually very orange today. I've got water and then coffee over here. It's like,
oh wow. Yeah.
over here.
I love that. My husband is Dutch. He would really like that because he's really into orange.
Hop, right? Hop Holland.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I got it.
Awesome. Great. I think we have quite a good crowd already here with us. We are waiting for one more panelist, so we'll give her just a couple of minutes to join us. Everyone, feel free to say hi in chat. Let us know where you're joining us from. Yep. Actually, by the way, I'm also in the Netherlands right now, so yay, Holland.
There you go. I'm already their favorite, Sarah.
I would try to say like something in Dutch, like hello in Dutch, but hello in Dutch is hello. Hi in Dutch is hi.
Same. I don't risk using Dutch really, just kind of not to come out as if I can speak it because I can't. That's why I only use English at all times.
The funny thing about Dutch people, they won't even let you speak Dutch. They're like, oh, we can tell you don't understand. We're just going to switch over to English. It's easier for all of us. They're like the best English speakers, non-native English speakers in the world. So yeah. I'm
nice. Someone's from Harlem. And I can tell you that I really appreciate that they do that. So yeah. Nice. Nice. So, we have quite a few people from the Netherlands, from Florida, Los Angeles. Oh, so many time zones as well. Pakistan, Sweden. Yes, hi. Oh, hi from Ukraine. Nice. Okay, so I guess we'll give Lisa a few more minutes. Hopefully she can join us. Hello, everyone, once again. Really happy to have each of you panelists and our attendees. Today we have indeed a very exciting and hot topic, ChatGPT and how it is changing the sales game. So we are really going to do a deep dive into the topic to see how sales teams can effectively use AI and ChatGPT in particular to improve their efficiency and, of course, bring more revenue at the end. Let me quickly introduce our panelists, and I will give you a chance to kind of talk more about what you do, about your businesses, once we jump into the discussion. So today we have Sarah Brazier, account executive at Gone. We have Jake Dunlap from Scaled Consulting, Oleg Bilazor from Reply.io, and hopefully we'll have Lisa, Chief AI Strategist from AI Leaders joining us in a bit. 2 words about myself. My name is Alex. I'm a sales team lead at Reply, and today really my role is to guide the discussion and make sure we have a productive time.
A quick question here. I see
yes,
Lisa raised hand. Maybe that's the Lisa we are waiting for. Can you check?
I think so. Maybe we need to resend Lisa a link how she can join. Okay.
Zoom call always like that.
Yes. Okay, I hope we can figure out the technical issue with Lisa not being able to join. Yes, we are recording the webinar, so we will share the recording with you probably as early as tomorrow, so no worries. And feel free to keep using the chat to let us know your questions. We will use them as we go and also try to save some time at the end to cover them. Let me see. Can we figure this out? Okay, so let's start with a quick poll. Curious to know how many of you are already familiar with ChatGPT and how many of you use it on a daily basis. And maybe how many of you are still a bit skeptical as to maybe you don't trust it yet or don't really have the time to find out what it can do. So feel free to let us know.
Because we can't vote, Sarah. We're not allowed to.
No. But Jake, are you outsourcing every possible task to ChatGPT? I bet you are. I bet you're like, yeah.
I'm working on it. I really feel like it's like just scratching the surface. I feel like I just keep coming up with new ways to be lazy.
Yeah.
No. It's time management. That's what it is.
Correct.
It's not being lazy. You're working smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
Oh, so I see. So almost half of the people are still in the process. They still trust themselves better than they trust AI for their, I guess, their tasks, right? I'm really happy we have almost 30% never tried it, curious to know how. Oh, that means that we're really gonna sell some new stuff today. Perfect. Yay, I'm happy we have Lisa here. Lisa, are you with us?
I am. I'm not sure if you can see me, but hopefully you can hear me.
Not yet. Not yet, can't see yet, but really happy to have you with us.
Happy to be here.
Awesome, amazing. So I thought that we would start the discussion and share a bit of a, well, I think it would be good for us to say what really is ChatGPT, because we have a few people that never tried it. Let's start with that.
So I could start maybe in my own words. I love how one AI expert told me he lived in San Francisco. He actually gave me a call and saying, Oleg, you didn't get it. It's going to change the whole world. That thing could create new religion. And that thing is almost as smart as human. And actually, I heard about ChatGPT before, like a few weeks before, but actually this call from AI, especially from San Francisco, made me really in. And really, so that's this ChatGPT is text generating model that by learning text, just learning on text, it's the same as human, probably kids learn, able to create sentences just by adding next best word. It's text model, but it looks like it could think. I don't know, maybe you guys could add to this. What is ChatGPT in your own words?
Yeah, I mean, ChatGPT is a thing that's called generative AI. And the idea, I'm very new to this too, the generative AI thing and playing around with ChatGPT. But the idea is you can feed it a bunch of stuff, and then you can ask it to write stuff for you. So you could feed it a bunch of Shakespeare poems and say, here are a bunch of Shakespeare sonnets. Now I would like you to write me a sonnet to my prospect about why they should buy Gong. And I want you to write it in a Shakespearean way. And then ChatGPT will go, okay, cool. And it will bop one out for you. And if you like it, great, you can copy paste it into your prospecting email. Or if you don't, you can feed it some other things and tweak it. But that is the idea behind ChatGPT, is it generates stuff for you. So instead of AI models that would you do what's called pattern recognition, right? Where instead of having someone manually surfing through all this data and trying to find thematic things, AI does that for us automatically. Well, now this is the next level where AI can start generating content for us, whether it's a song, a poem, an email, you name it. Another form of generative AI is when it went like viral on Instagram at the beginning of the year, but was where you took a bunch of pictures of yourself and you could have it was like called Lens Up. There's a bunch of different apps that do it, but it would generate avatars for you. And then you would have all of these cartoon pictures of yourself that looked a lot like you, but in different styles. And so that's the idea behind something like ChatGPT, except it's via text, not image. Did I get it right? Does that sound right, Jake?
I think it sounds right. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, for me, I don't remember if it was Lens. I created this one where I'm Thor, and it just puts me like in like a Thor movie trailer. Looks pretty cool. Justin Fazio said it pretty well, which is it's like Google, but with the answer basically provided to you. And there's just so many layers that it can go deeper where, you know, when you ask it about trends in a space and then say, okay, well, about number one, tell me more about this, or tell me why this would matter to XYZ. You know, I think of it a lot like, yeah, it's just providing the answers versus the list of options. And the answers are like, depending on the query, it's not like the answers are always 100% exactly, to Sarah's point, but the answers are usually pretty close.
And myself, as non-native speaker, I was amazed what a quality output it provides. Basically, I started using it for all my emails right now. So I could basically prompt improve my text, and it will improve my text with bad English, with all the grammar error or language usage errors. So it's really good at writing.
Yeah, perfect. Sounds good. Indeed, I like the comparison to Google. You don't even have to, because in Google, you have to then look through the articles and look for the answer. With ChatGPT, you just type in the question. It already gives you kind of the summary of what those articles on Google say. So indeed, that's very easy. Perfect. Hi, Lisa. We can see you now. So great.
Yes, we finally got past that. Happy to be here. So I just want to add something from a ChatGPT perspective. It is not reliably accurate. So just make sure that whenever you are using it, that you don't have it generate something for you and then not fact check it before you would send it to a client. So it's just something that it's a fantastic tool. I'm a huge proponent of us learning how to use this and wield it from a productivity perspective for brainstorming, creativity, etc. I love the idea of using it if you're a non-native English speaker to help with grammar and things like that. I think that's fantastic. I just want to caution people that it does make things up. It makes up facts and presents them in such a way that it looks like it knows what it's talking about. So make sure that you fact check anything before you send it to a client.
Thank you for that. That's very important to remember that, especially as we're early adopters now, right? So it's good to know. Perfect. So I think that we can maybe jump into more of the topic of, since all of our panelists are really kind of representatives of different business verticals, and I'm sure each of you has a slightly different business case and use case for AI and maybe ChatGPT in particular. So could you maybe share how your business right now is using AI and how you do that in your role?
I'll jump in first. I mean, so as a consulting organization, we work with hundreds of companies on a variety of different, sales related, revenue related challenges. One of those is outbound optimization, sales process optimization. And I would say the very first use case that we found that has dramatically increased the effectiveness of individuals doing outbound or even people trying to prep for meetings is ChatGPT's ability to quickly pull out industry trends and industry insights that you can, let's say if you're a new rep, let's say you've never sold into HR, you've never sold into HR in manufacturing, you've never sold into HR in industrial manufacturing, you've never sold into HR and industrial manufacturing in the United States. Imagine a world where you can go, hey, what are the top 3 trends, for human resources leaders in industrial manufacturing in 2023? That used to take you, tons of calls and listening. And imagine a world where you can get like pretty good, buyer persona / industry specific trends and contents that you can use almost in real time. And so, we're seeing the ability to get up to speed on an industry, get up to speed on a buyer. You're talking about shaving months off of, that ramp.
Yeah, I just want to add a quick use case, how we use it and actually plan to implement in our product in Reply. So basically, you could, in ChatGPT, you could, let's say, copy paste LinkedIn profile of some person and create a prompt and ask ChatGPT to write a cold email suggesting to to do a demo of this product for this particular person, and ChatGPT could take in context all he knows from LinkedIn, information you passed, and maybe any available information online, and create personalized email. You may need to edit it, but it's something that's actually like really saving time right now, and been taking a lot time to SDRs like do manually. And we actually thinking, hey, how can we do this on scale? So instead of sending some template emails, imagine you could send personalized email to each and individual of your customers in a scale. Let's say you have 1,000 trials for your product, right? And you could communicate on the personal level, knowing context about this person. And I think that's another way how we try to use it.
Yeah, indeed, prepping for meetings and doing research into prospect is way easier and faster now. So I think now as salespeople, we don't have an excuse anymore not to be prepared, right? We can't come not prepared for meetings anymore. What about you, Sarah and Lisa? Can you share a few more examples?
Sarah, you want to go first?
Sure. So I'm personally not using ChatGPT for a ton of stuff. I tried to get it to write a song for me, and it was really struggling with like the rhyme scheme, and that was basically it. It was like it was a parody song of a Christmas Carol, but about a coworker of mine, because we were all supposed to give each other gifts, and it couldn't get the rhyme scheme right. So yeah, I'm not using ChatGPT too much, but AI in general is something that I use on a daily basis because, well, number one, that's what I sell. I sell Gong, which processes a bunch of unstructured data and uses AI to find structure within it. It's looking for patterns. So what Gong does is we capture sales conversations that happen over web conferencing, phone calls, emails, texts, cell phone conversations, etc. And all of that's like a bunch of unstructured data, and it looks for patterns within that. So like level 1 of Gong was just like capturing that and then using a keyword search to be able to find stuff, which is helpful, but doesn't necessarily tell you a lot of stuff. Then we started doing something called topics. So we started identifying trends within those conversations, and we started tying them to outcomes. So if you talk about X, your win rates end up being Y. And if you talk about A, your win rates actually decrease by C. And then we started doing that with also behaviors across conversations. So how many emails are you sending? How many stakeholders are you looping in? What is the persona? How does this change across the different verticals that you sell into? The size or ARR of the deal? All of that stuff is things that we're looking at all the time. And I think like one important thing about any kind of data that you're using some kind of AI over is that the data needs to be good. It's kind of like a garbage in, garbage out scenario, where I probably put garbage into ChatGPT, which is why I got a really bad song. Or when it comes to like the avatar creators, I have a friend who put a bunch of really good pictures of himself in, and it made all these supermodel avatars, and then he did a bunch of really bad pictures of himself, bad angles, bad lighting, whatever, and he came out looking like an ogre. Both scenarios, they're not realistic because both the data is only a specific type of data, either really good looking pictures of me or really bad looking pictures of me, but not just a bunch of pictures of me. And so like the thing that's really important about any of the AI that you use or you're starting to use as you are trying to make your job better or easier is how much of it is good and how much of it is accurate. And so what we're trying to do at Gong is get as much like accurate information into the system so you can make smarter, better choices instead of choices that might, actually be resulting in false negatives or false positives. But yeah, I mean, I use it all the time to run my sales cycles, to write better prospecting emails, to follow up. There's a million different ways that you can use it. And yeah, AI is great.
Those were great examples. I'll add that you can take, for example, a copy of the LinkedIn profile of a prospect that you're interested in, copy the profile into a ChatGPT session, then add in some context of what your product does, what you're interested in talking to them about, and have it create a personalized message that would resonate with that specific individual. So I've seen that done pretty effectively. Many in the chat are talking about the quality of prompts the type of questions that you enter and what are the impacts of that. That really is the key to it. It's what information, to just build off of what Sarah said, it's the quality of the data that you put in is going to directly impact the quality of what it can create for you. So be creative with the data that you feed into it. I also have had people ask me, hey, there's a characters limitation. I bump up against this when I'm trying to use it for some longer text reasons. And what you can do in that case is, if you have a large amount of text and it keeps stopping you, telling you that you're putting in too much for it to handle, this is particularly a problem on the free version of ChatGPT, you can put in the largest amount of text it will allow and tell it to refer to that as text 1, then put in a second section and put in text 2, text 3, etc. And then you can tell it to give you a summary of text 1 plus text 2 plus text 3, and it will be able to generate from a larger data set based off of naming it that way from a data perspective. So hopefully that will help.
Yeah, that's actually very helpful practical advice, Lisa. Perfect. So it's great. So we've already touched upon how we can prep for the meetings effectively, kind of do this research in one click into prospects. We can do research into new industries, right? As Jake mentioned, new verticals, new industries. We can really simplify the personalization, something that sales reps spend. I don't know, sometimes I can spend really long time on trying to write personalization for my cold emails. It's a really good use case as well. And at the same time, really important to how we write what we put in there, what kind of request we put in, or what kind of data we put in, meaning that is really going to define on what we get out of it. Sounds good. Are there any maybe other aspects that we haven't mentioned yet in regards to the sales process, where else we could implement AI? We forgot something?
I mean, one of the cool things that Gong is in the process of building and is, you know, we're testing it out in beta internally, so I'm excited to see when it's launched, is Gong is looking at, you know, engagements of, say this is a sales conversation that I'm having with you. Gong is going to, you know, be able to summarize all of that, tell you what the main talking points are, and then from there generate what your follow-up email looks like. And so there's a ton of mundane tasks that salespeople do on a regular basis that a lot of times don't get done, which ends up resulting in slower sales cycles, or, you know, an unhappy customer experience or losing a deal to a competitor. But instead, you know, if we can find ways to automate and take away these like mundane, small administrative tasks, then it opens up your brain to be thinking more creative and thoughtfully and executing the things that you're particularly really good at. So earlier, Jake was making a joke about how he's, you know, trying to be as lazy as possible by getting ChatGPT to do everything for him. But the reality is that, you know, now he's got a bunch of time to sit around and simmer on things and really put his brain power toward consulting his clients instead of, you know, writing whatever they talked about on their last sales call up, you know, and spending a bunch of time doing that. So I think there's a bunch of cool stuff that's going to go on, particularly in sales. The other thing that I think is cool is that Microsoft, I believe, acquired ChatGPT, and they're going to use it as they build out Bing, which is a competitor to Google. And so now you're going to be ask, you know, Bing a bunch of questions that a Google query wouldn't be able to answer for you. So all that stuff that Jake's talking about, hey, I want to understand trends that are going to happen in 2023, or understand things about, you know, a specific, you know, a specific industry or whatever. You're going to be able to do that really soon with Bing. They've only got like a very small, limited amount of people who are able to like try it and experiment with it. But I'm excited to see like what Microsoft builds out and if Google will actually have a competitor in them. Because I know a grand total of 0 people that actually use Bing.
Wow, that's amazing how Gong able to create a follow-up email with action items from a meeting. It's amazing. And for me, when you ask, like, what didn't we mention when Alex asked, I would say I see how AI could replace so much, and especially in, as Sarah said, in mundane tasks. And I would say from prospecting to crafting these initial emails, to replying to these emails if it's simple inquiry, to right now, actually, Microsoft, they did release product called Vivo. I believe I pronouncing it right in spelling, Vivo. The thing is, it could actually, it work with Outlook and Microsoft Dynamics. If customer ask you, do you have this particular, like, let's say 10 items of this particular product, it could go into CRM without you need to go there. Look at your database and see, like, is this product available? Does it have like 10 items on stock, and how much it costs? And could create an Outlook like draft for you saying, hey, yes, we have 10 items of this product and the price is this. So it's I see it could automate especially everything that's related text to like databases, to working with CRM. All that could be like fully automated. It's just a matter of time. I would say technology is already there. It's just this 5% to get it all in real system and real use cases.
Yeah, I think a lot of, I mean, if we flip over to marketing, somebody wrote in the chat about SEO. I mean, like this is going to destroy it. I literally, so I've got ChatGPT pulled up. I write a 500 character blog post about gong.io and AI, and it wrote it in what, like 18 seconds. You know how many pieces of SEO I could have ChatGPT write for me a day? A day. A day. I mean, I just think about, like, again, if you're a technical writer right now, oof, right? As opposed to a storyteller, and like how to add the color, like this is going to, especially on the content side, for like and again, I'm not talking about tons of data. I'm talking about basic content, like blog content. Like the implications, if you can't see them right now, it's really mind blowing, especially if I was on like the marketing side of the house as well, because it can literally just produce a piece of content in 18 seconds.
Yeah. Like I think about how this is going to replace SDRs, or in part replace some of what they do. Like to me, it's a slippery slope. Like either what's going to happen is like this will eliminate all of the bad stuff that came out of sequencing tools, right? Because everybody, you know, we all bought sequencing tools and we thought it was going to make SDRs more efficient. We were going to write better emails. We were going to book more stuff. But really what it's done is it's taken what used to take 4 touches to book a meeting and made it 16 or 21 touches to book a meeting. And a lot of people complain about spam in their inbox because we've hired a bunch of young college grads to write emails, and they don't necessarily understand what's happening in the space, and they're not doing a really super great job. So this could then replace like the human capital that you need to just send out a lot of emails. So that could be good. Or if you feed it a lot of bad data, you'll just, you know, it's garbage in, garbage out. So I can see this like going one of 2 ways. And what I think it will eventually do to the SDR role is maybe we won't get rid of SDRs, but they will have a much more sophisticated role in terms of opening up doors, creating relationships, starting conversations, which we're already starting to see happen. But I think it's going to become a much more mature position in a company, because those relationships are so important. And we can't spam our customers all the time. We've got to stop doing that.
I think since we already kind of touched upon how, like as you, Sarah, mentioned, how ChatGPT could replace SDRs or some of them, or like part of what they do, how about we stay in this topic for a bit and also talk about a sales role in general? How do you think that's really going to affect, kind of build up on what we already said?
Well, I think
will it make an SDR redundant in the end? I'm sorry, Jake. Yeah.
No, you're fine. I think, like, look, a lot of these automated tasks, when this gets integrated into email, and it's not if, it's when, if someone responds, book a time, someone responds, not interested, someone responds, the price is 2x. Like, there are a ton of basic interactions that candidly AI could just handle for me. And there's been bots trying to do this for many, many years. And so I think that, look, if if you are, and to some of what Sarah's saying, if you are hitting send all consistently in your job today, if you find yourself consistently sending out things that have block text field and hitting send, yeah, you're not going to have a job. There's no need. Like the AI can optimize. It can read the responses over 1 million email responses that come in and then continue to optimize much faster than like a manual human in an Excel sheet. So I just feel like if you're not, again, like going back to like the old school parts of sales about like staying up to speed on your industry, being value add for somebody and really knowing your buyer, it's going to replace parts of it. Like there is absolutely no doubt it's going to replace big parts of basic email response back and forth. And it's going to replace any type of task that's like, you're just hitting send all, you know, it's going to happen.
I like to think of it as an opportunity for the way that we sell to evolve. And instead of really being, I agree. I agree with what Jake is saying. Those things that can easily be automated, they will be automated, and they're going to be automated more quickly than people are prepared for, in my opinion. So if you are in one of those roles, you need to be working on those skills that Jake's talking about, where you're able to operate at a higher level, to bring more human context, to bring value. The things that are happening in the marketplace already for roles that are being impacted by artificial intelligence, ChatGPT and other things as well, what we're seeing is an augmentation of the roles that they're doing. So certain tasks become offloaded to AI, which frees up that individual role to do more of something else. So I see an evolution of what the role is for an SDR and what the role is for an AE, et cetera. I see those roles evolving as we use artificial intelligence to augment what we do. And certainly, like Sarah has lots of examples from Gong, has already been doing this in really creative ways for years. So that evolution of the roles, I believe, is going to happen versus a killing of roles. I think that we're going to see tasks that are outsourced to AI, basically, and that each one of those roles are going to be augmented. But if you don't have some kind of value add skill to layer on top of what the AI does, you're going to be at risk. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think Marcus is basically saying that in the chat, Lisa, that like all of the stuff we're talking about, ChatGPT and all these ways to make yourself more efficient, they are not customer centric. They're just ways to be, you know, to do whatever thing you don't want to do that much, get a robot to do it. And like you're like, just like you said, we should be using these things to enable us to be spending more time with our customers, thinking about our customers more, serving our customers more, having better conversations, problem solving with them, and not, you know, spamming them.
Right. But isn't that what we said about sales engagement platforms too?
100%.
Right. Didn't we say, well, sales engagement platforms will allow people to like just have the sequences laid out, so then they can like add more quality to the you know, the day-to-day activity, and they don't have to remember who to follow up with. And what did we do with those tools? We turn them into we turn them into like mini little marketing automation tools. And look, I'm not saying everybody, a lot of companies do this like really, really well, but I do think that, you know, there's a lot of in here of like humans will always want. Do you think you're talking to AI now today? And if this is where it's at today, do you think you'll know that you're talking to AI tomorrow? You won't know, you know? And I think a lot of people are just not ready for like the quality of AI and buyer behavior. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to talk to someone on the phone. I'd prefer to chat with a bot to get as much information as possible. And then when I'm ready, then I want to talk to a human. And you don't think a whole generation of buyers who don't like to pick up the phone, who want to text, who want to be on TikTok, you think that they wouldn't prefer to have an AI digital experience versus talk to a human? You're completely wrong. Like, there's absolutely no chance that we're moving to a world where people are like, I want to pick up the phone and talk to another human more. That's just not the way that the world's headed. I wish it was. And I wish that these tools were going to like revert us back to some, idealistic world. I think we as humans have to evolve and realize if we're not able to add incremental value to like a lot of things that used to be like, wow, like that was adding a lot of value. Like, no, now we got to add even more value, that there's not a lot of room for humans in the loop. And B2B sales, it's coming for B2B sales 100%.
Yeah, I do think, like I said earlier, it's garbage in, garbage out though. If you have a AI chatbot that's responding to you, I've talked to plenty of those and I'm like,
Oh, totally.
That's not what I'm saying. So,
Totally.
you've got, it's like you're saying with the sequencing tools, like it could be total crap and it could just be, another thing that makes me mad. The other thing is I was on a call with a company called Aligned, and their software is not generative AI, but it is cool. And they were saying that buyer's remorse increases like 3x if you never engage with a human during the sales process. So we are important. We do need to continue being good humans and like talking to people, and there is a place, but we need to find where those spots are. And if we're going to rely on AI to do our jobs for us, we got to make sure that the AI is good. Like it's got to be good. You got to feed it good stuff, and you've got to really tune the model, and you've really got to make it awesome. Otherwise, you're just going to have a worse buyer experience. You're going to make people more mad, and you're going to lose people early on in your pipeline.
I think it's interesting. It's like, like Manuel's like, how to build rapport. Why do you think a buyer wants to have rapport with a salesperson, or do you think like a buyer wants a problem solved? What are we talking about here? Like, don't get me wrong. Like I will self-service for something $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 if I've done my research, I've done my diligence, and maybe talk to a person. I don't need to have rapport with that person. I don't need them to be my best friend, and I don't need them to be like particularly likable. I need them to be knowledgeable. And I think this idea that like the human value in sales is rapport building. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with rapport building. It's a very great skill and something that can help push things over the limit. But I think if we're talking about that, we really think that buyers today are going to continue to want more rapport and friends in different parts of the world. We're mistaken. It's not the way that we're headed. We are heading the opposite way to self-service.
I will push back against that because there's like 7 different personality types or something, depending on who you talk to, and people buy from people like them. So you don't want to talk to someone and you don't want to have, but you're one personality type. And I know because my buyers have told me that they bought from me because they liked the rep better, or vice versa. Like I was just a bad human and they didn't like me that much. So yes, I think rapport building is important at the end of but like, are you selling to value? Are you solving their problem? Are you solving their problem in the best and most creative way? Like, yes, you have to do all those things, but there's a reason why you are able to close deal. You're more likely to close a deal if someone turns their camera on. And you have your camera on a call. There's something about seeing another human. There's a reason why if you have in-person conversations with someone, it increases the likelihood that you will close a deal. Like, we are social creatures. We are hardwired to be social. We're probably the most social animal on the planet. So we do like to buy from people. We do want to feel like we like the person we're buying from. And
some people want to buy from people. Other people don't. I agree with you 100%.
Other Jake Dunlaps don't.
No. It's not just me. Do you want to talk to someone when you buy something on Amazon? Do you want to talk to someone whenever you're looking for homes? No. I want to do research.
But it depends on the type of thing that you're buying, right? If you're buying like a $500,000 like solution to a really big problem within your organization, like you're going to want to talk to people, and you want to have rapport with them, because when they walk away from you, you want to make sure that you're in good hands and that your onboarding process will be great. If you're buying something for, if I'm buying a $20 nail file for my dog, which I did buy on Amazon the other day, no, I don't really need to talk to anybody about that.
I tend to be a little more in Jake's camp. I don't like to talk to people either until I decide, right? And I think that that's exactly. A lot of buyers. That's a lot of buyers. Once they decide they want to talk to somebody, they want to engage. But I hear what you're saying, Sarah, and there are different buying personas. As somebody in the chat was pointing out that it's generational. There is some alignment with generational, but I'm Gen X and so if you were going to say, oh, I shouldn't I should want everybody to talk to me on the phone. I just reset my voicemail this morning to say, please text message me, because I don't ever answer my voicemail. I'm just being completely transparent, right? So I think that even trying to put people into a bucket based on generations really doesn't work. But there are buyer personas. And I think from an artificial intelligence perspective, we can use AI in different ways based on those buyer personas. But the research does tell us that as time progresses, people want more and more service, even in the B2B space, to be automatic, to be automated in some ways. So we know we're going to have to do more of that. But there are all kinds of creative ways to use artificial intelligence to help us, regardless of what that buyer profile looks like today.
I agree, Lisa is brilliant. I think that's, again, what we try to do at Reply. Each customer, they have the individual, how to say, approach, right? Depending on the buyer persona. And with AI and data we even before starting communication with prospect, we could understand based on their social profiles, let's say, what kind of buyer persona, and create the best personalized experience for this person, either it's like SMS or that's call, etc. So love your comment on different people need different.
I like kind of how we started with talking about how we can make sales more efficient, right? What we can do, we can automate, and how we really transitioned into, okay, but what are our buying personas expecting? What are they going to prefer, right? And we really see different camps. Some are going to prefer really automation, efficiency, speed, while others would prefer for you to show them like, hey, I'm human, I'm here, this is my name, and you can really tell you're talking to a human. And I think, as Sarah already said multiple times, you have to test these things and really see what's going to work, what your personas really prefer. So yeah, indeed, I think we kind of came full circle on that. I also wanted to come back maybe a bit into kind of implementation AI within a business and within a team. Where would you recommend our attendees right now? Where should they start if they don't have that yet? Maybe what would be the first processes that you would recommend for them to kind of apply AI to?
I'll jump in here. I think that we are seeing a myriad of different approaches to what's happening with, specifically with ChatGPT in the marketplace right now in the business context. So on one end, we're seeing companies that are just putting a hard stop on, that have actually gone so far as to say that they're banning use of it. And on that end, what I would say to people is that if you are working in one of those environments, make sure you're upskilling yourself, at least from a personal perspective, because this is not going away. It is gaining momentum. We're not going to see less artificial intelligence. We're going to see more. And you don't want to be somebody that isn't skilled in this at some way. So educate yourself if you're not getting that at work. And, then we're seeing organizations who are like, okay, we think this is a good idea, but we're going to be cautious. We're going to cautiously use it. And I would say they're probably right now at this moment in time with ChatGPT, that's probably the smartest way to go, because it does have some of those fallacies that I pointed out earlier. With it not being factual, with it only being trained on data that goes up through 2021. So I did see some great comments in chat about the fact that there are some really powerful Google Chrome extensions that you can use to get a current data set that brings you up to the 2023 data. So that using it with caution and making sure you're checking everything before it moves to customers. And then we're on the other end of that, we're seeing customers go all the way to we're all in, and we're going to use it in every possible way to try to drive productivity. And I think part of that is because of the economic situation. Some companies have cut way too deeply with layoffs, et cetera, and they're really kind of doubling down on what's possible with AI. And I would say that that's a pretty high risk approach to take it with the state of the market the way that it is right now.
Yeah, my suggestion where to start would be, I think that's the first great start that a lot of people come to this webinar, and I like saying it's kind of cliche now and popular saying, basically AI will not replace people. People who know AI will replace people who don't know AI or can't work with AI. So it's important to educate yourself, and new tools appearing daily or weekly. I really, for myself, I monitor a lot of different AI tools that's appearing and thinking how I can use them and how my team use them. Then I know it will make us more effective at what we do and hence more competitive on the market. And second thing that I like, and maybe my personal point that I would suggest and what I did, I don't know if you guys on TikTok, I recently started kind of trying to understand what it is. And I think it started from a social network for kids, and it's transforming to something amazing. And I getting a lot of news about AI on TikTok. TikTok is very visual. It's this short formal video, and TikTok algorithms is way better than any other social media algorithms in terms of suggestion content. So what I did when all this hype with ChatGPT started, I went on TikTok and watched a lot of different. I just searched ChatGPT use cases, etc., etc. So once TikTok learned that I'm into this topic, it started suggesting me a lot of different information that I otherwise wouldn't find anywhere. So apart from just subscribing to some AI news, I would suggest to use AI, TikTok AI, let's say, to bring AI content to you. And it's amazingly how TikTok algorithms work, and it's give you what I think for me, what's important right now is not, it's at one point, it's going deep and understand the technology, but more important for me, it's to understand what's tools available, how I can apply them. And at this point where it's just starting, I just want to see broad perspective right now.
Yeah, that's how I see this, is that we're moving to a society where the ability to know how to use the tools, their limitations, manipulate. This isn't for tech people. You know, I think I have an 8-year-old son, and I think about like when we grew up, our human brain was the CPU for storing all the information. So the people that had the most information were the smartest. And we train kids in school to store information, and that makes you smart. The future is the people that know how to access and manipulate, and not manipulate in a negative way, but manipulate the tools to find the right insights. And so we can't all go back to school and relearn these tools. I've been saying for years that like how to search things on Google and YouTube should be like a major in college. Like everybody should have to learn that in college. And these tools, if you're not staying up to them, again, you may be the smartest person today. You may be the most knowledgeable around XYZ, but if you're not staying up to speed and you don't know how to access this information, you're just not going to be able to keep up, because the speed, you know, like somebody did that, explain Gong to a 10-year-old. That would take a human 30 minutes to write. And it was like really funny and clever. And like, I just feel like we are moving to a society where we as humans have to be amazing at understanding how to work with technology, utilize these tools. What's the use case today? Are they perfect? No. Versus storing all the information. And I feel like that's just one of the biggest trends in general. And I think about for my 8-year-old, I'm training my 8-year-old. My 8-year-old is already like amazing on Google and how to do Boolean searches. I'm going to train him how to use ChatGPT. You know, do you think I want him learning the Dewey Decimal System? Do it. Get out of here. Like, you don't want my kid learning half of this stuff. Teach my son, and we all need to learn how to manipulate data and find the insights. And that's just where we're headed. So your comment about staying on top of it, I just don't think you can afford to not to right now, because things are it's just changing really, really quick, really, really fast.
To that point, this is what I do every day. I deal with AI from the moment that I wake up until I go to bed. I'm not exaggerating, and I am behind every day. There's so much stuff exploding in the marketplace. So if you're not paying attention at all, you are going to be just horrendously far behind the curve. So I love what you're talking about with the education piece, Jake, and I hope that we see our education community really embrace this, because we need to be preparing our workforce to behave in a completely different way than what the industrial revolution era brought.
Yeah. Indeed. So we can. One of the things that you said is to kind of stay on top of this, right? Kind of not to ignore the trends that are already happening, but kind of try to conquer them, and then you use the information for that. There was a question about the integration of AI with education and the use of like ed tech. Do you have any thoughts on that? I know we're more interested in the sales perspective, but since we have the question, why don't we jump into that as well?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll start. Yo estudio español ahora, if maybe someone knows. So I'm studying Spanish, and actually I created a chat on ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT to have a dialogue with me on Spanish and correct my mistakes. And by creating this prompt, it actually did. So I had so fun, like just talking to this ChatGPT on different topics. And that's how I was using ChatGPT together with Duolingo. I still need some apps, but as well, if I want to practice, I would use ChatGPT. And as well, I installed the plugin for Chrome that would translate my voice into text and text to voice like automatically. So I actually could talk. It's still kind of slow, I would say, but I could practice my speech. They could speak back to me. So, I mean, I believe AI will be the best teacher for us in future, and for many topics. And second thing is, actually I forgot what I wanted to say. Yeah, so that's my use case, and really enjoy it.
I saw someone on LinkedIn who is a teacher, and they use ChatGPT to come up with a bunch of different examples of sentences that they could use in a quiz, and they wanted people to identify like the past participle or whatever. So they said, hey, ChatGPT, write me sentences that have these qualities in them. And then they did. And then, they could, so they, instead of spending a ton of time making this quiz that would have taken them 30 minutes or 45 minutes to write up, it was, 5 minutes in ChatGPT. And that's just one way of creating efficiency. I mean, it'll be really interesting to see how like this is integrated into ed tech, and I can't even imagine all the different ways that it could be used to generate quizzes and questions and other things. But yeah, it'll be really interesting. Maybe you can get AI to grade people's papers. I don't know.
I hope so for teachers. I know that's a pain.
The most time-consuming process for the teachers, for sure. Yeah.
I'll add a way that I used it. It's from an education perspective. I was working on a webinar series where we wanted to talk about a very specific series. And so I went to ChatGPT and I used it for a brainstorming partner first. And I said, here's my target audience. Here are the key tenets that I want to make sure that I get across to them. What are some possible topics that would resonate with this audience? And it gave me topics back, and I went back and forth with it in prompts, and ultimately then went to, all right, give me the title for this 3-part webinar series. And it gave me titles that I could pick from. And it does a much better job of creating titles than I do, by the way. So, I had it create titles for me. And then I said, all right, let's talk about what are the 5 key points I want them to take away from each of these. Now that we've named them, now that we know our key audience, et cetera, and went back and forth and had 5 items identified for key takeaways, and then asked it what type of background of individuals would be good speakers to join me on these panels. Give me ideas for what kind of speakers to look for, and used it as a brainstorming partner for that. So all up, I built a 3-part webinar series from clearly from the beginning of creating the topics all the way through to who should be the potential panelists, ideas for what kind of background they should have and I did that in like 40 minutes. And so think about how long that would have taken me if I had done all of that from scratch. It probably would have taken me half a day. And I'm not really sure I would have come up with some of the creative ideas that I was able to come up with in a brainstorming fashion with it. So that's a way that I'm using it to help me to create educational content that will land with different audiences.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks each of you for answering the question. Since we have the final 5 minutes, I thought we would also kind of do a bit of a few of the closing statements as to kind of summarize maybe key points that you would really want to convey to the audience. Maybe where do they start? Maybe you have any kind of aspirations or ideas as to what's going to come next, or like what should we prepare for? Maybe certain challenges that you anticipate that you can recommend to them. So what would you like to say as kind of like the final statement after today's discussion?
Keep using it. Just start using it, and anything that you can think, you're like, oh, maybe I want to organize something. And you know, like we were talking about before, I think the most important thing right now is, you know, if it's 100% accurate or not. I mean, it's knowing that is important, but getting familiar with how to utilize these tools. And again, you really, Sarah, you know, kind of mentioned this. It's like, you know, not even be able to really imagine what might be it. And, you know, I can't imagine everything and predict like necessarily like the, you know, the future by any means. But what I do know is that staying on top of these tools and continuing to, you know, try new ways to use them is going to set you apart from people, you know, in the future. And so my advice is just keep hitting refresh if it's busy. And you know, keep just trying different ways, 1 or 2 ways to use it in your day to day.
Yeah, I just want to finish with the rephrase quote of Apple, from Apple founder Steve Jobs. So I see AI as a bicycle for your brain.
I like that. Yeah, I think my 2 thoughts are garbage in, garbage out. So make sure you're thinking about what you're feeding it if you're going to try it out. And number 2, just do it. You don't have to use ChatGPT if you don't want to use generative AI. That's fine. There's lots of other types of AI. If you're a salesperson, go get Lavender. You can do a free trial of it. It's awesome. I use it. Or you know, go trial some of the different softwares that have things like this, and just give it a go. And then it's called Lavender, Tara, and it helps you write better emails. But pretty much everybody needs to write better emails, so that's one way to do it. And combine that with ChatGPT, and yeah, smooth sailing.
So I'm just going to echo, try it, use it. I actually did an experiment where I included it all day long for 2 days. Every time I started a new task, I asked myself, how could I use ChatGPT to help me with this? And I just kind of did an experiment of my own and discovered some really creative ways that I can do it to help with my own productivity. But it was really just a matter of, you know, forcing myself into that mindset of thinking about doing the things that I do every day in a different way. So I challenge you to do that. Try it out, embed it in what you do on a daily basis for a couple of days, and look where you are able to find those productivity benefits in your own day's journey. I highly suspect you'll find something that is valuable for you as an individual.
Indeed, I think just keeping the tab open there, because some of the things you don't yet have an automatic thought that, yeah, this is what I can use it for, because you're so used to doing things a certain way. Yeah, some of the examples you have heard from others, so you go ahead and use it. But most of the things that you do, it's still not automatic for you, that you can outsource it to AI. So at least keeping it kind of in front of you, seeing it every day will really prompt you to kind of come up with more and more things that you can do more effectively, having the help of AI. Cool. Awesome. Great discussion, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you for our attendees. Great questions. I really love the interaction in chat. There's always so much exchange there. Sarah, Jake, Lisa, Oleg, it was really a pleasure. Thank you again. And yeah, I hope everyone has a great rest of your day.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you. It's good to
Bye-bye.
be
Thanks,
here.
everybody.
See you guys.
Bye.